Good morning. Good Thursday morning. September 22nd. All right, so let's start off this morning with my pen, maybe. All right, cool. Economic calendar. What do we got on store for today? I think I was looking at Friday. We got initial jobless claims, 55 minutes. Continuous jobless claims. Nothing really else on today. Tomorrow we got Fed Chair Powell speaking tomorrow. And we got the GMP or PMI and Powell at, usually it's like 2 in the afternoon when he speaks, but I would imagine about that time. So anyway, let's get into the charts. Let's get this pre-market game plan going. What do we have for today? Let's look at yesterday, all right? So hopefully some of you guys were paying attention to me yesterday. I told you, once we broke this here, what they typically like to do, right? Or when we broke this over here, they'll typically like to rip it up, rip it back down, rip it right back up, and then continue the sell-off. All right, that's what we talked about yesterday in the pre-market prep. So hopefully you guys paid attention. Hopefully some of you made some money. All right, so what do we do? What's the first thing we do? Economic calendar, done. Already done. Let's get over here and draw yesterday's close. Right here. Alright, so now we got yesterday's close. This is going to be a significant area, so we're going to keep it. And this possibly could. I'm actually going to keep all of these on there for today except the close from that day. Alright, so if we shrink out, I'm not going all the way out to all those days again. Like we typically do. I'm not going to do the 1 day, 1 hour, 30-minute, work my way down. We already have lines on here. But what I'm noticing here, guys, is we have, some people like to call them bullhorns, but a lot of you guys probably don't look at the markets like this, but you need to. All right? It's just like when you get triangles during the day on the smaller time frames, right? Or when you get triangles, a lot of traders, they're not thinking the other way, the opposite direction, all right? They're not taught that. There's nothing really that you're going to ever find on YouTube, regarding teaching you the opposite direction of trades, right? Because most traders are focused on going this way, so they're not looking for things like this, right? A reverse bullhorn, right? So what does that mean? That simply means that now that we're forming this, the stocks market will like to do this until we eventually break to the upside or to the downside. All right? So now that we know that, if you guys want, you could draw off, your bullhorns, but now that you know it, you know what to kind of somewhat expect. All right? So we did have that massive sell-off at, towards the end of the day. News came out here. We ripped up, ripped down, ripped up, ripped back down again. You guys saw the trades that I took. All right, so what are we looking at for today? All right, we are already really, really close. I'm going to go out here just for this, to those June lows, right? And I was building the 30-day boot camp, so don't mind that. All right, we got our June lows marked off, so we're in an area right now, where I'd be very skeptical of selling again. The news, was priced in. We already got a sell-off yesterday, so now what are we looking for today? 2 hour. I want 2 minute. There we go. All right, so we had our range down below us, right? So those bears came in. They came in overnight, sold it down again, brought it up, sold it down again a little bit, brought it up, sold it down again a little bit. So what do you guys see right off the bat? All right. What are we starting to do? We are starting to channel up. All right. We saw the same thing play out last week. All right. Again, I'm not your average trader. I'm not going to draw my trend lines like the average trader. All right. We're looking at the bigger picture, right? We're day traders. Most day traders aren't going to know or understand the bigger picture. That's why so many of them fail and do not make it. All right? So we're looking at the big picture right here. All right? Why am I not drawing it up to here? Because then we're not going to have, a decent channel. All right? So again, this morning we had a beautiful, right? What is it with this? Why is it like so light blue? Also, all right, we had that beautiful entry bar, the first one that took out all of this money, right? Millions of dollars again, and then it just kind of bounced around, so we got a false signal. So had you had your stop loss underneath your entry bar, let's look at that, right? Had you had your stop loss underneath your entry bar, guys, I'm not sure why this is not, why it's so light. I must have hit something. Oh, I got the highlighter on. Ha! Okay. So if you had your stop loss on that entry bar right here, you would have never got stopped out, right? And where would your take profit have been? Let's see if we could have pegged that. Yep. I have the thing drawn here. But there's also another pattern here that I talk about during the pre-market prep sometimes, right? Where the market likes to rise and just slowly make its way up, right? In the pre-market, you're really not looking for these monster moves like this. So me personally, I would have probably sold. I would have started selling in this area. Or if I had one contract, I would have sold on that second or third bar, right? Because typically you're not going to get many more big bars than 3 in a row. Now on really hot days, you'll get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row, right? But the higher you get, the more cautious you want to be because it's not going to keep going up forever, right? But again, in an area of liquidity, you're going to get nice moves, right? Like I always say, you're going to make your biggest money in the shortest amount of time, waiting and being patient in areas of liquidity, right? How many traders really made any money in this entire mess? Not many, right? Not many. I took 1 or 2 trades this morning, and I don't have the thing on here because I'm doing the videos and I don't want it in there. That's not what I want. Okay. What are ticket positions? Yeah, so we're up 82.50 on the day. But again, this would have been your biggest and your best and your easiest money, right? We want it to be easy. We want the market to work for us. We don't want to get caught in the madness. All right? You want nice, easy trades. All right, so let's look at today. What are we looking for today? Again, I would not be looking to go short. We are already near the lows, okay? The news that came out was already factored in. So we're not looking, unless something major comes out, this market likes to ignore the real world, the real economy, where nobody can afford anything, where rent's through the roof, where your grocery shelves are empty, and it costs you $300 to buy dinner, right? The market doesn't care about that, all right? Wall Street doesn't care about the economy, right? They'll give you the illusion that they do, but they don't. So learn to play their game. Learn to think like they think, okay? News came in. We're already close to our lows. We have a rising channel right now, okay? This was a big spike down. We traded sideways, and now we're channeling back up, okay? Overall trend, yes, is down, but eventually that's going to end and turn around, right? I've been telling you I've been leery on going short since last Thursday, all right? And it's paid off big time. We made a lot of money in the last week. All right, guys. So what we're looking for today, if I would personally like to see the Bears come back down and retest this zone, right? Because, everything likes to happen in twos. We like to double bottom, right? They like to move the market to do everything that nobody's thinking about it doing. And that's how they take all your money. Nobody's thinking the big picture. You got to divide the traders out there up equally, right? You have 40% of traders who are so hard-headed that they will only go short, right? They think everything is a short. You have 40% of the traders who only think bullish. Everything they see has to be bullish, right? They ignore what's happening live right in front of them. They ignore price action. They ignore the big picture. They ignore the real economy, right? Because, well, no, they don't ignore that, but just forget I said that. You know what I mean. And then you have the 20% of traders who don't ignore everything, and they just focus on what's in front of them, right? They don't care what the news is. They don't care what's going on in the world. They've been in the market long enough to understand how the market works and how the market reacts to the world, right? And we're not biased, right? We'll play the upside. We'll play the downside. We'll play the sideways motion, right? That's how you become a professional trader. You got to get all the nonsense out of your head of, I'm only bullish. The market's gone up for the last 10 years. I'm only bullish, right? Yeah, it has. And it was a great run. And we made lots of money. But now we're in a bear run, right? And hang on, I got a message here I got to respond to real quick. I apologize. All right, so back to the game plan. All right, so if we're looking to go short or take any short positions, what I'm going to need to see is when we come down to test this area, we just blast off and don't even come back. All right? But if we just kind of come down, bounce up, kind of go sideways and trickle down, I'm not going to touch that kind of price action. All right? We want real price action. I don't want to play with that, mess like, oh, let's fake everybody out and then come back up and then go back, oh, right? We don't play that. That's garbage. So if I was to go to the short side, that's what I'd be looking for. If they're going to go short, they're going to probably most likely bust right through this wall and not look back, and they're going to want to come back and test the January lows, right? Or June lows. But again, I don't see that happening, but you never know. I mean, it could very well happen. What I see in front of us now is what we saw last week after the big sell-off, right? We came down and we just kind of channeled around, but we made our way back up, right? So that's what I'd be looking more for today. And again, we do have Fed Chair Powell speaking tomorrow, so the markets could still be in a kind of wait and see mode. What's he gonna come out and say tomorrow, right? But in the meantime, what you can trade is your channels, right? Right now, we broke out here. We came right back down. Look it. Okay, we broke out here. And we came back down to retest it. And it just so happens to fit exactly in line with our trend line. Right? Who'd have thought? So that's why it's imperative you get all these things marked up. When do you start marking them? As soon as you see them forming, right? The first touches. Just like right here. You can mark up another one, right? And see what it does in this area, right? Alright, so that is the game plan. I would looking to go short. That's what I want to see. I want to see a strong push through that area. If we don't get it, the bulls are going to want to bring it back up here. And then the next stop for the bulls is going to be yesterday's highs, overnight low, which the overnight low is already below us. Not the overnight low. Yesterday's close is already below us. So remember, right now, I would say we're neutral, right? We're in balance because yesterday's close is right here. The market's not too oversold, or oversold. The market's not too overbought, but we're in balance. All right, guys? So until we get closer to the bell, these are all things you want to consider when we get at that 9:30 time frame. Do we open up all the way up here, right? Now that we have this massive gap to fill below us, right? Gaps, when gaps need to be filled, they will typically get filled within 1 to 3 days on average. All right? So if we shot up and never came back, you got to be expecting within the next couple of days we're going to come all the way back down to fill that gap. Just like we saw the gaps to get filled the other day, right? We had a couple of gaps that had to get filled, and they got filled within a day or two. Does it always happen like that? No, I've seen it go weeks without getting filled, but on average, you're going to get the gap filled within a day, 2 days, 3 days max. All right? So, again, right now we're in balance. I'll have to go back and mess with that. All right, so if we're going to look to the upside for upside plays, right, if we come up and we come down, right, and then we come down again, remember, think of where stops are, right? Okay? Short sellers, or their stops are here. Short sellers, their stops are here. Long bias buyers, their stops are going to be here, right? So, trade those areas of liquidity, right? Now, we're forming a thing right here where if we come up here and test and pull back, we're looking for that entry bar, right? Just be patient. Wait for that entry bar. Put your stop just below it, right? Put your stop below your entry bar. As you saw here, it would have never took you out on this bar right here. Your stop below your entry bar. Had you got in on this bar, that's where your stop would go. I've been telling you guys for 2-3 years, however long we've been out there now, never lose more than one bar, right? All right, guys, so that's the game plan I'm looking at today. Again, we have a very strong possibility of coming back up here. Easily coming back up to yesterday's high, right? So do we come up here this time, then come through and blast off? Come up here, blast off, right? Only time will tell. But that's what we're looking for to the upside. The downside, I'm not really looking too much on. Again, unless we come back down and really bust through that area of support. But again, right now, what I'm seeing is we got a rising channel, right? And those bulls, we're in an area where, we're pretty low. We sold off all last week. We sold off strong and hard yesterday. So you're looking for really big moves in these areas of liquidity because of this big move right here, right? Remember, 40% of those hard-headed bears are going to short this market every place they can, right? Because in their minds, the market's going down, the economy is doomsday, right? They're looking for the world to end. So there's going to be tons and tons and tons of bears in these positions, which is what's going to make these big moves, right? You're going to make more money in this little short period of time than you would have traded in this whole entire area. Even this move to the downside you could have traded, right? But you start getting caught up in this mess, you're just wasting your time, you're wasting trades, energy, you're risking your money. Let your money work for you. That's all I can tell you, all right? Let your money work for you. All right, guys, so this is the game plan that we're looking at today, right? Again, you're going to have tons of sellers and buyers. Today's just one of those days. The market hasn't really done much. We've been waiting on news. We've been trickling sideways. But also, one thing to keep in mind, when the market does make a big move down, typically sometimes we'll just like trading in a range, right? And then it'll make a big move up, and then it'll trade in a range again. Then it'll make a big move up, and then it'll trade in a range. That's just how the market works. The quicker you understand that, the quicker you're going to be on the right path to success, all right? So now we got here, a sell-off. This is really driving me nuts, right? coming back up? Are we retesting it to come back down to test this channel? We'll see, but notice where it's amazing just how easy this really is. But, you know, you draw this line here, and then we already drew this trend line, right? And look at that area where that happens, right? You know, you just want to be you want to be sharp in this game, right? There's days where we're all tired. I was tired yesterday. Still really don't feel that great today. Son went to school today, so that's going to free up some more of my time, so I'm psyched about that. But just know where to take those trades, right? This is not an entry bar. This big bar here, even though we did take out that liquidity, right? You have another area right above us that you just got to be mindful of that, right? You don't want to take entries in the wrong area, right? When we're in choppiness like this, this is where you want to take your entries when you're in areas like this, okay? Because you have nothing in your way here. Here, to the left of you, you have this in your way, right? It is making its way through there, but that's not a high probability trade, right? We want to focus on high probability trades. HPT, baby. That's what's going to pay your bills, right? That's what's going to make you money. High probability trades, high probability setups, right? So again, we're not in a high probability area. We're in an area of resistance right now, right? So this bar was really way too big, in my opinion, in a specific location, right? Because typically big bars leading up to an area are not going to work, right? Now, you know, this could be where it breaks, comes back down and retest to work its way back up here. Or it could be an area where we just sell off and come back down and touch this, right? I would not be surprised one bit if we do come back down just to retest that area, right? Just to come back down and retest it before we shoot off again. But we might not. We got this ascending channel. We saw it last week and it did the same thing. It just continued to go higher. All right, guys, that's the pre-market prep. That's the game plan. Have a great day. God bless y'all. I'll see you all in a little bit.